Hello, and welcome back to Under Pink Skies. If you're new here, I'm glad tonight brought you to us. This is a place for sleep. Every story is an hour long, written to help you let the day go and find your way quietly to rest. Tonight's story is called The Cottage Fire Burns Low, and the world goes quiet. You'll be spending the next hour in a small cottage at the end of an evening, while the fire settles into its last slow warmth, and the world outside does what the world does when no one is watching it. Before we begin, if this is the kind of thing that helps you sleep, a subscription means there'll always be somewhere to come back to. And when you wake up, if you feel like leaving a comment, even just what time it is where you are, or which part of the world you're listening from, I'd love to know. I always do. Now, make yourself comfortable. Let your shoulders drop. Put everything else down. The fire is low, and the evening is almost done, and there is nowhere you need to be. Let's begin. The breath moving slowly. The fire at its last low glow, not asking to be watched. Just there, just warm. As you are, just here, just warm, just breathing. You do not need to do anything more tonight. The room has you. The night has you. Everything can wait until morning. Let the next breath come on its own, and the one after. Sleep now, just here, just warm. Sleep. You are in a cottage, not a large one. That is part of what makes it what it is. The rooms are small, and the ceilings are low, and the walls are thick enough that outside sounds, the wind, if there is wind, the rain, if there is rain, arrive muffled and distant, like sounds heard from under warm water. The cottage has been here for a long time. You can tell this the way you can tell it about any place that has been standing through many seasons. Something in the way the floor gives very slightly underfoot. Something in the way the door frames have settled into angles that are almost, but not quite, square. It is not a perfect place. It is a place that has been lived in, which is a different and better thing. The fire is burning low. This is important. Not a fire at its height, not the fire of early evening, when it was fed and built and climbing. That stage has passed. The fire now is in its latter hours, the logs reduced to thick orange embers, with occasional small flames moving across their surface, finding the last of what is combustible and consuming it slowly. The glow from the grate is the kind of glow that does not flicker dramatically. It simply pulses, very gently, as though the fire is breathing, which in its way it is. The warmth it gives is the warmest kind, the warmth of something that has been burning for a long time and has spread itself into every surface of the room. You are sitting down. There is a chair, low and soft, positioned at an angle to the fire that is exactly right. Not so close that the heat is intense, not so far that you must seek it. Just the right distance, so the warmth presses against your face and your hands, and the fronts of your legs with a gentle consistency, like a presence that does not ask to be acknowledged, but is simply there. The room is small enough that everything in it is within sight. A window, curtained. The curtains are not heavy, not thin, the right weight for a cottage window. The weight that diffuses whatever light comes through them into a soft warmth during the day and holds the dark at bay at night. They are closed now. The dark is on the other side of them, doing its patient work. A table with a few things on it. nothing requiring attention. A shelf on the wall with objects that have clearly been there for a long time. The kind of objects that gather in old cottages, that have no particular function but belong to the place, the way the walls and floor belong to it. Small things, quiet things, things that have stopped having stories attached to them and have simply become part of the background of the room. The floor is stone, probably, or something close to it, covered in part by a rug that has absorbed so many years of warmth from this same fire that it holds the heat in its fibres. Your feet are on it or near it, and they are warm. The cottage smells of the evening, of wood smoke. That is the primary note, always, in a room with a fire burning for hours, and beneath it, something older. Old wood, perhaps, the particular combination of stone and timber and years that produces, in small old buildings, an atmosphere you cannot quite name, but recognize immediately as the smell of a place that has been a place for a very long time. Outside, the world has gone quiet. You cannot see the world from here, not with the curtains drawn and the fire low and the evening fully arrived. But you can feel the quality of the outside through the walls. The particular stillness that settles over the countryside when the last of the day is done. No traffic, no voices. Whatever birds there might have been are settled and silent. The fields, if there are fields, are simply lying in the dark, being fields, as fields do, when there is no one to observe them. The cottage has a particular relationship with time. Not that time passes differently here. It does not. The hours are the same length they are everywhere. But a place like this, old and small and settled into itself, has a way of making the hours feel less urgent. The thick walls that keep the cold out also keep a certain quality of slowness in. The slowness of a place that has seen many winters, many summers, many evenings just like this one, and has learned that none of them required hurrying through. You do not need to hurry through this one. The fire has been here since before you sat down. It will be here after you have fallen asleep. It is not going anywhere, and it is not asking you to go anywhere either. It is simply burning at this low and lovely rate, because that is what it does. Because fire left to itself does not stop burning until it has nothing left to burn. There is something reassuring in that continuity. The fire was here when the evening was bright, and it is here now that the evening is dark, and it will be here through the quiet hours ahead. It does not mind the dark. It does not mind the silence. It simply burns, and in burning makes the room what it is, warm, amber, close, a place where a person can put everything down and simply be still. You breathe in slowly. The air in the cottage is warm, and it is the air of this room specifically. Wood smoke and old walls and the evening. And it is the right air to be breathing at the end of a day. You breathe it out. The fire does not notice. The room does not change. You are here. The evening has brought you to this particular chair, in this particular room, beside this particular fire. There is nowhere else to be. The day is somewhere behind you now, not gone. It will not be fully gone until morning, when it officially becomes yesterday and takes its place in a long sequence of days that do not require anything from you anymore. but it is behind you. Whatever it contained, the things that went well, the things that did not, the things that simply happened without being either. It is all behind you, and you are here, in the cottage, in the chair, in the warmth of a fire that has been burning since the late afternoon, and is now, very slowly, completing itself. You have been in this chair for a while, long enough that the chair has adjusted to you, or you have adjusted to the chair. It is difficult to say which. Long enough that the warmth of the room has become the temperature of your skin, and you have stopped noticing it as a sensation, and it has simply become the quality of the air. Long enough that the sounds the fire makes have become part of the silence, rather than an interruption of it. There is a mug somewhere nearby. On the table, perhaps, or on the arm of the chair, if the chair has an arm wide enough for that. Whatever was in the mug has been drunk, mostly, or is no longer warm enough to want. The mug is simply there, a rounded shape, a handle turned one way or the other, a small object doing nothing in particular in the low firelight. It does not require a decision. You do not need to do anything about the mug. Think for a moment about how small this room is, not in a confined way, in a contained way. There is a difference. A small room with thick walls and a burning fire, and curtains drawn against the night, is not a limiting space. It is a gathered space. Everything in it is close. The ceiling is close. The walls are close. The fire is close. There is very little distance between you and any of it, and that closeness is a kind of comfort that larger rooms cannot offer. You are surrounded, very gently, on all sides by warmth and stone, and the accumulated quiet of many years. The fire shifts. A small sound, not a dramatic crack, just a settling. One section of the embers giving way slightly, redistributing the heat. A brief brightening. The shadow of the chair moving on the wall, then returning. The room settling again into its particular amber. You watch this without moving. That is the right response to a fire at this hour. Not to tend it, not to add to it, not to do anything at all. Simply to watch it, the way you might watch rain on a window. Not looking for anything, not expecting anything. Just allowing the movement to exist in your field of vision and pass through without catching. Outside, something. Not alarming. The countryside is full of small sounds at night that are not alarming. A branch, perhaps, shifted by whatever wind there is. Or an animal, small and unconcerned, going about its nocturnal business in the hedgerow. The sound comes. It is assessed in a part of your mind that assesses such things and found to be nothing. And then it is gone, and the quiet returns. The quiet always returns here. That is one of the qualities of a cottage in the country at night. The quiet is the default. Sounds enter it, and then the quiet absorbs them and closes over the place where they were. It is the opposite of a city, where sound is the default and silence is the interruption. Here, silence is what the place returns to. It is the condition the cottage is most naturally in. Your shoulders. Notice them now, briefly, where they are, whether they are level with where they were when you arrived, or whether, as is likely, they have descended slightly, carried downward by the accumulated warmth and the absence of anything requiring you to hold yourself in readiness. They have probably dropped. Bodies do this, in rooms like this, without being asked. The shoulders drop, the jaw softens. the muscles across the back of the neck, which have been maintaining the position of the head all day, begin to ease. You did not ask your body to do this. It is doing it on its own. That is the right thing to be happening now. The fire breathes its slow breath. The cottage holds its warmth. The world outside is quiet in all the directions it can be quiet, which at this hour is all of them. The cottage has a sound of its own, not a loud sound. Nothing like that. More like the sound a very quiet place makes when you are still enough to hear it. The faint settling of old timbers as the temperature shifts. The almost imperceptible sound of the fire giving off its heat. The particular quality of silence that comes from thick stone walls. A silence that is somehow more present, more substantial than the silence of thinner walled places. The silence in a cottage like this has weight to it. It presses in gently from all sides, the way warmth does, and it is just as welcome. This is the sound of a place at peace with itself. A place that has been here long enough to have nothing to prove. The cottage does not need to be anything other than what it is. A shelter, a warmth, a set of walls and a roof between the people inside and everything outside. That is all it was ever meant to be. That is what it is tonight, and it is sufficient, and you are inside it, which means you are also for tonight sufficient. You do not need to be anything other than what you are right now. Warm and still, and here. There is nothing more you need from this evening. You have arrived at the part where nothing further is required. The fire is lower than it was. You notice this the way you notice gradual things, not at the moment of change, but some time after, when the change has accumulated enough to become perceptible. The flames that were occasional are now rare. The embers are doing most of the work, and they are doing it quietly, without drama, giving off a steady, radiant heat that asks nothing of you. The colour of the light in the room has shifted, less yellow, more red. The shadows are deeper. The corners of the room, which were amber an hour ago, are now approaching darkness. This does not feel like loss. It feels like arrival. The fire at this stage is the fire at its most honest. It is not performing. It is simply being what it is. The last warmth of something that has already given most of what it had to give. Continuing, because that is what fires do. Because combustion does not stop until there is nothing left to combust. There is something to be respected in that. Something to simply sit with, without comment. Look around the room, slowly. Your eyes move the way eyes move, when there is nothing urgent to find. Without hurry, without purpose, settling briefly on one thing and then drifting to the next. The shelf on the wall, those quiet objects in a row, their shadows longer now in the low red light. A small jug, perhaps, a stone or two, a piece of something, driftwood or a root, or simply a shape that someone once found and brought inside because it seemed worth keeping. None of these things has anything to say to you tonight. They are simply the accumulated objects of a place. Being still. The window. The curtains are thick enough that no light from outside reaches through them, and no light from inside escapes. The window is simply a place in the wall where during the day the outside would be visible. At night, with the curtains drawn, it is a closed thing, a sealed seam between inside and outside, holding them apart. You are not curious about what is on the other side. You know what is on the other side. The night, the dark, the fields, or the lane, or the garden. All of it quietly being itself in the dark. It is enough to know this without looking. The ceiling is close, low, as cottage ceilings are, with perhaps a beam across it. Dark wood, old, running from one wall to the other. In the firelight, the beam is barely visible, just a darker shape against the darker ceiling. The plaster around it, if there is plaster, is not smooth. Old plaster never quite is. There are small variations in it. Small imperfections that catch the light at certain angles and are invisible at others. Right now, in this low red light, you can see the texture of it, the slight roughness of a surface that was made by hand a long time ago, in a way that was never meant to be perfect. Perfection was not the point. The point was shelter. The point was a ceiling between the people inside and the weather outside. A ceiling that would stay up through many winters and keep the warmth in and the rain out. That is what this ceiling has done. That is what it is doing now, above you, in the dark, staying up, keeping the warmth in, asking nothing. The objects on the shelf have been in this room longer than you. That is a strange thing to consider, and also a comfortable one. The small jug, the stones, whatever other things have gathered there. They were here before this evening, before today, possibly before many years of days. They will be here after tonight. They exist on a time scale that has nothing to do with the things that concerned you this morning. They are simply here, on the shelf, being still, in the way that objects are still when no one is asking anything of them. There is something very restful about objects that are not asking anything. Most of the objects in your life are asking something. The phone, the work on the desk, the things waiting in rooms you are not in. But not here. Not these objects in this room at this hour. The jug is not asking. The stones are not asking. The fire is not asking. Even the chair beneath you is not asking. It is simply providing, which is a different thing entirely. You are surrounded for this hour entirely by things that are only providing warmth, support, enclosure, quiet, the smell of an old room and an old fire. These are the things being offered to you right now, freely, without expectation. You do not need to do anything with them except receive them, and you are receiving them. That is enough. Your hands are resting, both of them, wherever they have settled. One perhaps on your knee, one on the arm of the chair, or both in your lap, one loosely over the other. They are warm. The fire has been warming them for hours without your noticing. The backs of your hands, the palms, the fingers, all of them warm, all of them still, all of them finished with the tasks of the day. The tasks of the day. There were some. There are always some. You could, if you tried, reconstruct them. What you did this morning, what you did in the afternoon, what brought you to the evening that brought you to this cottage, this chair, this fire. But trying would require an effort that the room is not asking for. The room is asking for nothing. The day's tasks exist somewhere in the past, sealed and complete, and they do not need to be revisited before morning. Leave them where they are. The fire makes a very small sound, so small that you almost do not hear it, just the faintest settling, the quietest movement of heat through embers. It is not asking for attention. It does not need you to look. It is simply still here, still giving what it has to give, in this small room at the end of this quiet evening. You are still here too, warm and still, and in exactly the right place. Something in you has begun to let go. You may not have chosen it. You may not have noticed the exact moment it started. But somewhere in the last hour, in the warmth, in the low light, in the small sounds the fire has been making, something has released. The grip that the mind keeps on the day, the constant low-level attending to things, the readiness that the waking self maintains without being asked to. It has been loosening, gradually, without fanfare. The thoughts are different now. Earlier, they had edges. They were about specific things, things that happened, things to do, things half-formed that circled without landing. Those thoughts were the thoughts of a mind still in contact with the day. But the day is further away now, and the thoughts have softened with the distance. They do not have clear subjects anymore. They move the way the light from the fire moves, shifting, variable, impossible to fix on any one shape for long. Let them move. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to resolve them or understand them, or do anything with them at all. They are simply the mind winding down, the last slow rotations of something that has been running at speed since morning, finding its own way to a stop, not a forced stop, a natural one, the way a fire finds its way to embers without anyone deciding it should. Think of the cottage around you, the walls, close and thick, holding the warmth in, the ceiling, low and patient above you, the floor, stone or something like it, solid and old, the fire in the grate, still giving its last warmth, the curtains at the window, holding the night at bay without effort. All of this has been here this whole time, unchanged, asking nothing, and it will remain here while you sleep. The cottage does not require your supervision. It has been standing through many nights without you, and tonight will be no different. You are held on all sides by something that knows how to do this. The breath. Notice it now, not to change it, just to notice. It is slower than it was when you sat down. Not dramatically slower. The change has been gradual, like all the changes this evening, but slower. Each breath has more room in it. The space between the out-breath and the next in-breath is a little longer, a little easier, a little more like a pause than a gap. Breathe in the warm air of the cottage, the faint wood smoke, the smell of old walls. Breathe out. The room receives it. And there is a pause, a comfortable pause, a pause that does not need to be filled. And then the next breath arrives on its own. There is a particular kind of thought that comes only at this depth. Not a productive thought, not a thought going anywhere, or meaning anything, or needing to be acted upon. More like an impression, warm-edged, slightly out of focus, arriving without announcing itself and departing the same way. A room you have been in before, a smell that belongs to some other evening, a long time ago, a feeling without a name, that is not quite happiness and not quite sadness, but something quieter than either, something that belongs specifically to the border between waking and sleep, and that is only available here, and that cannot be summoned by trying. Do not try to hold it. Whatever arrives at this depth, let it arrive and let it go. You are not responsible for your thoughts tonight. You are not required to follow them anywhere or make anything of them. They are simply the mind doing what the mind does when it is finally, fully allowed to stop, releasing, little by little, everything it has been holding. The cottage is holding it now. Whatever the mind releases, the room absorbs. The thick walls, the old ceiling, the floor that has stood through so many nights. All of it is here, and all of it is constant, and all of it will still be here in the morning, unchanged, asking nothing. You can let go. Everything will still be here when you wake. You do not need to think about the morning. Morning will arrive in its own time, as it always does, and it will bring with it the ordinary contents of a day. Things to do, decisions, the resumption of everything that is paused. But it's not morning yet. There are hours between now and morning, and those hours belong to the night, and the night belongs to rest, and rest belongs to you. The fire is very quiet, not gone, still there, in the grate, still giving its warmth, but quiet now, barely a sound, just the presence of heat, just the glow, deep red and steady, doing what it does without needing to be watched. Your eyelids, heavy is the wrong word. They are not heavy. They are simply finding that open is more effort than closed. The muscles that hold them up are among the smallest muscles in the body, and they are among the first to release when the body is ready to rest. They are releasing now, slowly, without urgency. Let them. The room will be here. The warmth will be here. You do not need to keep your eyes open to know that the fire is still burning, or that the walls are still standing, or that the night outside is still doing what the night does. You can know all of this with your eyes closed. You can rest now. The cottage is taking care of everything else. The body is very still now, not rigid, not held, just still, the way things are still when they have stopped needing to be anything other than what they are. Your body has been working since the moment you woke this morning. It has been carrying you through the day, managing itself, doing the 1,000 small things that bodies do without being asked. It is allowed to stop now. It has been allowed to stop for a while, and it has been gradually accepting that permission. And now it is still. Begin with the top of the head, if that is useful. The scalp, the muscles across it. There are muscles there, faint ones, and they carry tension the way all muscles carry tension, quietly and without drawing attention to themselves. Notice them now and let them be soft. Not a command, just a noticing and a permission. The forehead, smooth, nothing held there, no expression being maintained, no small frown of concentration or concern. The forehead of a person at rest looks different from the forehead of a person awake in the world. And yours is finding that other configuration now. The configuration of simply being a forehead with nothing required of it. The eyes closed. Behind the eyelids, just warmth, just the faint reddish glow that is the last of the firelight coming through. It will fade as the fire fades, and by the time it has faded entirely, you will be asleep, and it will not matter. The jaw, soft. The lower jaw has its own small weight, and when nothing is required of it, that weight draws it very slightly downward, not open, just released. The muscles of the jaw, which clench and work through every hour of every day, are resting, the teeth not pressed together. the tongue lying quietly where it lies, the throat, the neck, the long muscles on either side of the neck, which have held your head upright all day, are being held now by the chair. They do not need to do anything. The chair is doing it. You can give the full weight of your head to the support behind you, completely, without reservation. And the chair will hold it, as it has been holding it, without any help from you. The shoulders, let them be wherever they have fallen, lower than they were this morning, almost certainly. Lower than they were when you sat down this evening, even. Somewhere in the last few hours, they have descended, carried down by the warmth and the quiet, and the simple absence of anything requiring them to be held up. Let them be there. That is the right place. The arms, both of them, heavy with their own weight, fully supported. From the shoulder to the elbow to the wrist, all of it resting, all of it warm, all of it finished. The hands, each finger loosely arranged, not curled into anything, not ready for anything, just there, warm, soft. The hands of someone who has stopped. The chest, rising and falling with the breath. Slowly. The breath is slow now, deep and slow, and the chest accommodates it without effort. In, and the chest rises slightly, out, and it falls. And then a pause, a long, easy pause, and then in again. The stomach, released, not held, not braced, just present, soft, doing nothing. The back, all of it, from the base of the spine to the top, resting against the chair. The chair is holding all of it. Every part of your back is supported. There is not a single part of it that needs to work. The legs, heavy, long and heavy where they rest. The thighs, the knees, the calves, the ankles, all of it given over to gravity, to the chair and the floor, to the simple fact of being horizontal or near horizontal and having nothing to stand up for. The feet, warm, still. The soles of your feet, which have been in contact with the world all day, they are not in contact with anything now except warmth. They are resting. The whole body, from the top of the head to the soles of the feet, all of it here, all of it warm, all of it at rest in this small, thick-walled cottage, beside a fire that is almost done, at the end of an evening that has been asking less and less of you, until now it is asking nothing at all. The fire gives off its warmth, quietly, without being asked. You receive it, without needing to. The cottage is very quiet now. The fire has gone to its last embers. Not out, not yet. Just the deepest glow, the colour of the inside of something warm, giving off the last of what it has to give into the room, into the air, into you. You do not need to tend it. You do not need to do anything at all. The walls of the cottage are doing what they have always done, holding the roof, holding the warmth, holding the quiet. They have been doing this through more nights than you can count, and tonight is one more, and they are entirely equal to it. The world outside is quiet. Whatever the world was doing today, whatever traffic moved through it, whatever voices, whatever ordinary noise of people living their lives, all of that has stopped now, or moved somewhere else, or simply sunk beneath the surface of the night. Out there, in the dark, the fields are being fields. The lane is being a lane. The hedgerows are standing as they always stand, in the dark, doing nothing, being exactly what they are. None of it needs you. Your thoughts, if there are thoughts, have no edges now. They are not about anything. They are not going anywhere. They are simply present, the way warmth is present, diffuse, without direction, fading at the edges into something that is not thought at all. Let them go. There is nothing to hold onto tonight. Everything worth holding is already held. By the chair, by the cottage, by the warmth that is still in the room even as the fire fades. The breath, in, a long pause, out, a longer pause, and then in again when a body is ready. You are not doing this, it is being done. Your name, if someone spoke it now, you would know it, but it would take a moment to arrive. That distance from yourself is exactly right. That is the distance at which sleep becomes available. The fire is almost gone. Just the last of the glow. Just a warmth without a flame. The room is darker than it was. And the darkness is a good darkness. The darkness of a small room at the end of a long, slow evening. A darkness that has been coming for hours and has finally arrived. It is a gentle darkness. It is not asking anything of you. You are warm. You are held. You are in a small cottage at the end of an evening, and the fire has burned low, and the world has gone quiet, and there is nowhere you need to be, and nothing you need to do, and no one waiting for anything from you tonight. The next breath, in, out, the cottage around you, the dark, the warmth. Sleep now. The fire will do the rest. It will burn to its end in its own time, and the room will hold its warmth for hours after, and you will sleep through all of it, through the last of the embers, and the long dark hours, and the first grey light that will come, eventually, through the curtained window. But that is a long way away. Right now, there is only this, the warmth, the quiet, the cottage, holding you. Sleep.